Saying to myself, it's not every day that one gets to meet people from the Indian film industry, let alone get to interview them. Welcome to What's Up with Vasant. This is a brand new podcast and entertainment content channel. On air shortly, I'm going to be having the multifaceted Raj Singh Chaudhary, who's an actor, writer, director, and whose notable films have been Gulaal, No Smoking, Antardwand, and The Last Chapter. Prior to getting into his journey and figuring out about how he managed to make a mark for himself being an outsider, it's going to be an amazing ride. So grab yourselves a drink, sit back, and enjoy the podcast. If at the end of it you want to leave behind feedback, do so in the comment section. Make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much. It is my pleasure to welcome the enormously talented and gifted Mr. Raj Singh Chaudhary. How are you doing, Raj?
Good, Vasan. Thank you for having me on this.
So, Raj, tell me a bit about where you're from because I've been reading so much online and there seems to be like
Confusion.
confusion. Are you from Darjeeling or are you from Meerut or are you from
No, no,
Rajasthan?
no. I'm basically from Rajasthan,
Acha.
but I was born and I grew up in Darjeeling because my father had a tea estate there in Darjeeling.
Oh,
So I spent 20 years of my first 21st years of my life in Darjeeling.
oh, nice. Okay. So, dad was a businessman there in
Yeah, so
Darjeeling.
in the tea estates in Darjeeling, no,
Okay, cool.
four of us now.
So you okay? So you went to boarding school in Darjeeling itself, is
That's
it?
right, yeah. No, first to 10th, I was in boarding.
Okay.
I mean, in fact, I spent all my life in hostels. I mean, my educational life. 11th and 12th, I was in Delhi, DPS RK
Okay.
Puram, and
Okay.
that was also in the hostel. So
Okay. Okay. Cool. Cool. So any fond memories from those times? Any interesting events or memories that shaped you or broke you?
the fact that it shaped me to be who I am today, and
Okay.
it's something that uh, uh, I don't have fond memories of DPS, to be very
Okay.
honest. But from school in Darjeeling, it was good in the sense that it shaped me to be who I am and made a lot of friends. You know, you spend 10 months of
Yeah.
the year with somebody, with people, so you made a lot of good friends who are still friends with me today. Are very close
Yeah.
friends. Uh, yeah, there's good and there's bad in the sense that you were always like the punishments were quite harsh in the sense
Yeah.
this
Uh-huh.
caning and but what was good about
Man.
fond memories was that we had this huge screen like a sort of a theater in school uh,
Acha.
with a big screen and projector and we had these reels coming in so every Saturday
Wow.
night was movie night uh,
Wow.
and we were and mostly shown English films, you know.
Acha.
So those were they were like I remember watching. I used to love the these ones Ben Spencer Terence Hill. But
Okay.
Spencer Terence Hill films showed a lot of Western films, Western in terms of when
Like
Clint
classics.
Eastwood
Yeah.
films, uh,
Yeah.
classics. So all of that. So I think we were exposed to really good cinema then, unknowingly. I mean, obviously we didn't,
Right.
but that those were fond memories. And one of the harshest punishments was when you were punished and not allowed to watch the Saturday film.
That must be painful, right? And
Yeah,
this
that
was
was
an all. What's more painful, I am imagining, because you said boarding school. It's an all boys school.
it is an all. So now if you ask me what is the fallout of that is that we became very awkward as men in front of women, but absolutely no interaction with women. So
But a lot of curiosity. I'm sure there must have been
yeah,
some
there was a lot of
around.
curiosity. There was a lot of stuff. And boarding school, there were things that happened that happens in all boarding schools, not to be mentioned. But yes, the fact that we were very awkward as men, boys in front of women.
Yeah, doing like crazy things because boarding's full of those crazy things, right? Like making Maggie noodles in a bucket. I've heard like friends tell me that Maggie noodle is like the most like prized possession one has for food. तो रात को
Yeah.
जब सब सो जाते हैं तो फिर वो हीटर ऑन करके गीजर ऑन करके बकेट में ही मैगी नूडल बनता है. Is that true? Like is that?
No, not in my school because like I said, I think our school was much more strict than most of the boarding schools around
Oh, अच्छा.
in India. And not we couldn't make Maggie noodles in buckets, but we had them raw, you know.
Oh my God, bro.
And because close to Nepal, and a lot of students were from Nepal also, so they used to get YY, which is like like similar
Oh
to
yeah,
Maggi.
yeah, yeah. You
Why,
know
and
that.
then you just open the packet and you have this small pouch of masala. You just put it in and just mix it up and just have it raw. I mean, no boiling, nothing.
Right. What was the name of your school?
It was Guthal's Memorial School.
Okay, interesting. Okay, so growing up in the eastern part of the country, right? And
Mhm.
we know that it is distinctly different, right?
Yeah, yeah,
The socio-economics, the politics, and so on and so forth.
yeah,
So, how was that for you? Like a boy who was originally from Rajasthan, grew up in Darjeeling, when
yeah,
you went to college to Delhi,
yeah,
for instance,
yeah.
how difficult was it for you culturally to adapt to the more, and I don't mean this in a bad way about Delhiites, but मेरे बहुत दिल्ली के दोस्त हैं, तो I know that they are more, the personalities there are more loud and sometimes
Yeah,
obnoxious.
yeah,
तो वो
yeah.
आपके लिए transition कैसा था?
मेरे लिए ट्रांजिशन डिफिकल्ट था डीपीएस में when I came into Delhi because I mean we always went to Rajasthan to our ancestral village and we had a farm
अच्छा,
there. So every winter holidays, so Darjeeling, the hill schools had winter holidays. So we had 3 months of winter holidays. So every winter, parents took us to our ancestral village and we spent a month there. So that, so the diversity of a village to a boarding school, which was very, very clear in the way they want you to behave
for sure.
in
Yeah,
terms of etiquette and the way you speak and the way you eat and the way you talk. I mean, anything. They were very, very
right,
clear in what they want.
right, right.
From there to the fact that also boarding school, you have a lot of people from different ethnicities coming in. Uh,
Sure.
Nepal, so I speak Nepali fluently because I grew
Oh,
up
is that
there.
right?
Sorry?
अच्छा, अच्छा.
Huh.
I was just, yeah, that's cool, yeah.
I picked up a smattering of Bengali. We had a lot of students coming in from Bihar. Uh, and Darjeeling is also famous for having the royal family of Nepal, the
Oh,
kids
अच्छा,
come,
अच्छा. I didn't
yeah,
know
the
that.
kids coming in from there. So the diversity in terms of the people that you get connected to. So
Yeah.
there was no sense. The one thing that was really good, which was instilled, and I think organically it came into us that we didn't have any sort of discrimination. uh,
Got
and
it.
yeah, there was no sort of like there was no sort of you consider somebody from a certain area. It was that we all were together in one place.
Right, right, right.
And when I reached Delhi for my 11th and 12th, it was
Mm-hmm.
a huge sort of shock for me in the sense because the boarding school is a very close, intimate sort of a environment,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and then you're
Right.
thrown into a mind like DPS where one class has like some 13 sections. uh,
What?
yeah, I mean DPS had some 13 sections from A to A B C D E F G H I J K or something like that. Uh,
Wow.
Also, you're the way you are. You want. I don't say anything wrong about anybody, but the way you are, you're not in tune and you don't gel with anybody. From there,
Right,
uh,
right, right.
there was a certain brashness about people, uh,
Acha.
and I say that in
Hmm.
a way which is not negative, but I say that there was a lot of openness and brashness about. We were very closed. You know.
Which maybe to survive in a place like Delhi, because it's also the capital and the population is so high and competitive everywhere, people become like that maybe,
Yeah, yeah,
perhaps.
yeah.
So
Yeah, I know. I mean, see, every place has its own sort of character. So if you come to
right,
Mumbai, it has its own character. If you go to Delhi, Calcutta has
absolutely.
own character. So every place. So there was a certain. They were, I think, they were supremely confident, the Delhi guys.
Right, right, right.
So that, and we were not underconfident, but we were more reserved in the way we were taught. To be.
Got it. Got it. So now you used to go to Rajasthan at the time. What was your hometown called? Or is
We
called?
were very close to Pushkar.
Now, my favorite movie, and I'm not just telling you this, मैंने genuinely पता नहीं कितनी बार गुलाल देखी होगी जब मैं बोर हो रहा होता हूँ and मेरे को कहीं जाना है आधे घंटे में तो I'll watch it for 10 minutes, 15
Oh
minutes,
wow.
20 minutes, गुलाल over and over again, over and over again.
Own.
And especially the first half, dude. Like, I cannot tell you how many times I've seen it. And मेरे को वो जो ओपनिंग जो आपने वो जो ओपनिंग शॉट है ना यू गाइस शो द इट इज मॉर्फ्ड एट फर्स्ट वो डेजर्ट का सीन है
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
एंड देन थ्री ऑफ यू ऑल कमिंग यू योर एल्डर ब्रदर एंड दिस लोकल गाय
yeah,
हु इज
yeah,
शोइंग यू अराउंड
yeah, yeah.
तो ये आप लोग के नेटिव प्लेस के पास ही था लाइक डिड यू नो दिस प्लेस वेरी वेल
Yeah, yeah, I knew Sambar, that Sambar Lake with the salt pans. So it's
ओके
around 50 kilometers from my farm.
Acha, acha. So when you were visiting your hometown all those years growing up, all of those memories obviously helped you in setting the story with a backdrop of Rajasthan,
Yes,
as you
yes.
understood.
No, in fact, the way it came about was that it was not about Rajasthan. I had
Acha.
put together a story based on my ragging and college experience, university experiences in Bangalore.
Okay.
And when Anurag and me sat down for it, he asked me, where would you want to shoot this? I said, I'm from Rajasthan. The entire infrastructure is there. We
Right,
can go
right.
and just shoot at very low cost. So he said, let's set it in Rajasthan and let's go there. So then we went there and then we spent
Acha.
around 10 days over there. And that is how we adapted the entire story to Rajasthan. And while we
Awesome.
spent our time there, we met a lot of the ex-royals of Rajasthan, some of them.
Acha.
And
Okay.
that is
So,
how the whole story of KK's character,
right,
KK,
right, right.
and his whole ideology and his revolution factor. It
Okay.
came from there
Right.
while we were in Rajasthan for 10 days, 10 odd days.
Okay. Okay. And I'll get into Gulal in more detail
Yeah,
in a little bit. So coming back to, okay, so you finished RK Puram school was done. Now engineering happened, right?
yeah.
So until this point आपने कुछ ऐसा थिएटर वेटर ज्यादा किया था या मूवीज में आपका ज्यादा रुझाव था या क्या सीन था तब वर यू
कुछ भी नहीं था.
शेडिंग
No, कुछ भी नहीं था. The only thing about movies was watching them. I
अच्छा
had no inclination. I never even dreamt or thought that I would one day become part of this industry. There was
अच्छा
absolutely, I and just, I was more a lot into sports, but
ओके
also a very good student in the sense that, you have a very typical mindset of पढ़ाई करके ये करना और आगे करना, whatever. There was a very,
इंजीनियरिंग या
in
बिजनेस
fact, I had given my IIT exams also.
ओ
Because
वाओ
DPS RK Puram, if you're not getting through IIT, you are an outcast over there.
वाओ
So
वाओ
that was the
अच्छा
sort of school DPS was, and so I did give my IIT exams, and I
ओके
obviously didn't get through.
अच्छा yeah no one does I hear
No, in fact, I couldn't. All three papers, I couldn't even answer one question. So
Acha.
that speaks
That's awesome
volumes.
that you could even attempt it, having that level of guts. I would not even try that. And my story is crazy when another time we'll talk about it.
Sure, sure.
But okay, cool. So then engineering happened, and then you went to Bangalore.
Yeah,
And you were in Bangalore. What college? Do you remember what college you were in?
it was BMS College.
Acha. Okay,
It was purely an engineering and architecture college.
okay, okay. Awesome. And so that is where you had that experience of ragging and so on and so forth.
Yeah, my so it was again a hostel. You go there and you're in a hostel, and in those days, professional. When I mean by professional colleges, I mean the medical and the engineering colleges
Right.
were quite notorious for ragging incidents. Uh,
Okay. Okay.
Ours was bad, but not so bad as what I heard around other
Okay.
colleges and in Karnataka also and other places,
Hmm.
including deaths that happened uh, because
Wow.
of ragging. So yeah, it actually made an it that if I go back and think, it did make an impact on me.
But
There was a couple of incidents. That incident, if in Gulal, where me and Jesse are put in a room naked
yeah.
without, that is a true
Yeah.
incident actually.
Wow. This had happened in your university.
Not in my university. It had happened somewhere in Karnataka. It had come in the news, and it was quite. They were found. They were locked in a room naked without food and water for 3 days.
Damn. That's crazy. So उसके अलावा any memories from that time? Bangalore was pretty big on the rock scene, the beer scene,
No,
the
no,
bars were
Bangalore. I think 4 years I was there. 1 year I worked. 4 years in college and 1 year when I worked. It was, I think, one of the best times of my life. I think because in the second year, I
hmm.
because I used to play tennis, uh,
Right.
and I played a little bit of the nationals and stuff. Uh,
Right. Right. Right.
I was always into fitness, and that was, like I said, instilled from us in school, uh,
Right.
boarding school. And I used to. go run, I mean, do my exercise, go to the gym, not because I wanted to act or anything, but because of my fitness. And it was at the gym that I met somebody who was modeling, and he
Oh,
said, "Oh,
acha.
you should model." I said, "No, no, no. I'm here to study," sort of a thing. He said, "Hey, just come with me." So we became
Acha.
friends, and he took me to one person, and this lady. So coincidentally, she was Nepalese, married to a guy from Karnataka. Oh, she was very happy when I spoke in Nepali to her, and she did a portfolio for me for free, and
Wow.
and then for the first time at that time, I think there was something called Mr. India Graviera that happened, and
Acha.
just for a lark she sent my pictures, and I got selected for the regionals. So I went with the intention. It was at one, I forget the name of the five-star hotel. It was, I went with the intention, oh good, you'll get good food, let's go and enjoy.
Okay.
And I didn't realize that I got selected for the final in Bombay, you know.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
And that led to Glad Rags, which again was in Bombay. So
Right.
these two things that happened, I mean, I'm not, it's nothing to be proud about, but it's just the fact that
No, I think it is, man. It's cool.
but it just gave me a space in Bangalore where I was modeling. I did a lot of shoots and stuff, and I did a lot of ramp shows. And the ramp shows, the excitement of that was after every fashion show, there used to be a party. The biggest one being Kingfisher, Vijay Mallya's. Uh,
Right.
so you become the toast of people who want to get into these parties, and
Got it.
you know, in a certain way, in then you have a, like, you know, you have a hoarding of an ad of yours put up. You're doing
Right.
shows,
Right.
and at
That's
that
true.
age and in college, you suddenly become popular, and
Right.
it's a good life, you know, in the sense that you're making money while in college, and you're
Got
spending
it.
it all.
Right.
So that plus everything combined, it became quite a good, like, it was actually quite good fun, you know.
So then modeling was happening, and then how did movies happen?
So it's a very strange story. So you know, in the final year when you're doing engineering, so I was doing information technology, you know.
Okay.
So you
Mm-hmm.
do a project, which we did for you do a final year project which we did for Wipro at that point in time. So I did we did a, so you know, you make these groups, like we were four of us doing a project with Wipro,
Okay.
and we finished that and we finished our college, and we decided, you know, let's start our own company because it
Oh,
was a
wow.
huge IT boom at that time.
Acha. Acha.
And so one of us said, "No, I don't. I'm going for further studies to the US." So he left, and three of us started a company, which we worked for a year, and we had a couple of good projects. And when we used to code and develop software stuff, etc.
Oh, acha.
But then it just there was a fallout in the sense that the other two guys, without me knowing about it, had already registered the company in their name.
Oh, acha.
So
Okay.
I wasn't aware of it. Uh,
Oh, acha. That's
then when I
really
found out, obviously there was a fallout. So I went back to Calcutta at that point. My parents had by then shifted from Darjeeling to Calcutta. Uh,
okay.
so I went to Calcutta, and I had given my GMAT and my TOEFL, and I had
Okay.
applied to universities in the States.
Oh, acha.
Probably I would have gone in for an MBA or an MS or something like that. Uh,
Okay.
and it just so happened out of because there was an ad of my on air at that point in time, and at one sort of, you had these gatherings of tea people. We call them the tea estate people. So Calcutta has a
Acha.
lot of them, you know.
Acha.
At one of these gatherings, I met a director met me who was wanting to do a film and wanted to somebody new for it, and he
Okay.
met me, and I think he had seen it, that my ad was on air and at that point in time, and he said, "Oh, you are in that ad." I said, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." He said, "You know, I'm doing a film and I want to test you for it." So
Wow.
I had actually applied, and I think I don't remember which university. I had already, you know, I got a couple of admissions, you know. uh,
Right.
I was in the process, and he says, so he tested me and he said, "Yeah, yeah, I like you, let's do, you know, I want you in my film." And I said, "तो ठीक है, you know, I can push my admission, you know,
Right.
let's
Right.
try this out, might as well." And he then asked me to go to Bombay, matlab come to Bombay and do a sort of a 3 4 month workshop for
Sure.
that, because I had absolutely no acting experience. Uh,
Got it.
and I came here to Bombay for like that 4 months extended to 5 6 7 8 9. The film never took off. Uh,
What year was this?
this was in, I think, 98, I think, if I'm not
Okay.
mistaken.
Okay.
Uh,
Got it. Got it.
and it never took off. And it just then I said, you know what? Now I'm here. It became a very sort of a izzat ka sawal wali baat. You know?
Right. Right.
So I said, no, since I'm here, let me just try
Go
something
all
out.
out.
Yeah.
Go all out.
And so I just got back, and then also I just got back in touch with my modeling contacts and just
Okay.
started back doing a little bit of that and started, but I had no clue how to go about this whole acting business then because
Okay.
I didn't know anybody, and those were the days where you did not have the sort of cinema that we have today, and directors who are willing to take in new people, and the sort of
Sure.
cinema that is happening. It was very,
Right.
very, it was very, those producers, there were no studios, it was those producers,
Right.
very individual, independent producers.
Got it.
So I was floundering for the next 2, 3 years, basically. Yeah.
So then, how did you support yourself? Like, what were you doing at the time? How did you go about it?
So in the sense, like I said, I got back into modeling, and
Okay.
yeah, so that sustained me for a bit.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
and I also had some money which I invested in somewhere, and I was, getting returns for that. So,
Okay.
and it was not expensive to live in Bombay in those days. I mean, I got a
Okay.
house for 6,000 rupees, which was like a one
Wow.
BHK. So,
Acha.
so it was, yeah, it was okay. I mean, it was a fight, but it was good. I mean, it's not that there's no uh, this thing there.
Right. Right. So this was sometime in the late 90s,
Yeah.
and I'm guessing somewhere along the way you met Anurag Kashyap first, or did the makers of Kuch Na Kaho come first?
No, no, the Kuchna Kaho happened first.
Okay.
Again, there was some audition that I gave and it worked out and stuff.
Okay.
But when I did Kuchna Kaho, I actually realized, I'm not cut out for this because uh, I obviously, sorry, I also started doing theater at that point in time. So
And this was
simultaneously.
at Prithvi. You were doing Prithvi Theatre.
Prithvi mein nahi, it was it was with another guy, but Prithvi mein we didn't have any show, but we did perform at NCPA and stuff.
Oh, acha.
So
Interesting.
although it was not exactly Prithvi, uh, but where was I? Uh,
Sorry, you were telling me about how the struggle period was, and then Kuch Na Kaho.
Kuch Na Ko
Then,
happened. It was like oh yeah, great. You're doing a film. Ramesh Sippy Productions. Rohan was directing. Abhishek. Aishwarya
sure.
and all of that. And then obviously I did a minuscule role in that, but it was not that. But it was the fact that maybe there was certain. I mean, even though it was Rohan was this very new age director, but there was a certain sort of an oldness about the film. It was very. If you see it, it was of a certain template, which
Acha. Got
which
it.
was a commercial template, and the. I think maybe I didn't know at that point in time, but maybe that was not my so-called tone or sort of acting.
I understand. I understand.
And I felt that maybe I'm not a good actor and I'm not cut out for this. Uh,
Right. Right.
so I that was the space. Then it was only when I met Anurag after that, uh, and then I
And
started.
how did that happen? So Kuch Na
Sorry.
Kaho. So how did that happen? So you started off Kuch Na Kaho ho gaya. आपने उसमें you acted in that,
Uh,
and then did you immediately after that meet Anurag Kashyap, or were there
no,
other
then
projects?
like I said, the ragging in college had a huge impact on me, and I always felt somewhere that this should not be happening. It's not right. The all in fun is good. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
fun is good, but when it gets a bit bad, then it's just also
Of
not
course.
just physically, but psychologically, it does have an impact on. You're very vulnerable at that age when you come into college and stuff and all of that.
Makes sense.
Uh, so Satya had just released at that point in time, you know.
Okay.
And I was sitting and actually waiting for my turn at a bungee jumping event in Andheri Sports Complex, and it was a 4 hour wait, you know.
Acha.
Uh, and I was just sitting and the Satya just really, I was quite, and I'd seen the film, and it just happened, it was very coincidental that I saw the film, and there was a gentleman in Bombay, he was a photographer called Jagdish Mali, uh,
Okay.
and
Antramali's father.
Antra's dad, yeah. And
Yes. Yes.
Jagdish Mali was a very, very nice person, and someone liked me, he in the sense. So I used to hang out. He used to come and sit in my studio. So I assisted him also. So I used to
Acha.
go and sit, and that is where I saw a lot of shoots and these stars coming in and all. And
Got it.
the day I saw Satya in the morning, I was studio in the evening, and Manoj came in Bajpayee. Yeah.
Oh, acha.
And it was surreal, in that sort of a way. And
Right,
just had a
right,
small chat with Manoj. And anyway, Satya had a huge impact on me, and I realized at that point in time that nobody had made a film on college campus related stuff as stark and real as Satya.
right, right,
Shiva
right.
was there, but Shiva was also which Ramu had directed, but
Sure.
uh, but it had its space, which was semi, it was right in the middle somewhere. With
Right,
it has its lip sync songs and it had its stuff and all of that.
right, right. It
But
still had more fictional aspects to it,
yeah,
but I think
it
Satya
was
was
the
in
closest that somebody could have come to a real campus thing,
fair
I
enough.
think, at that
Fair enough.
point in time. And Satya was very stark and very real on the underworld,
Yeah, right, right.
something. And I said, why is nobody not doing something on a college, something like that, you know?
Correct.
Because I'd just
Yeah.
been through it, I'd seen, and there was politics and there was stuff and there was some very, very bad incidents that happened. So I started putting it down, while sitting. I thought of it while waiting for my bungee jumping thing. And then I started putting it down, of certain, I started trying to a semblance of a story, incidents, whatever, whatever, whatever. And for some reason, I always associated Satya with Anurag, not with
Acha.
some for some reason, I don't know why. And a friend of mine was acting in Panch at that moment, and Anurag was directing Panch.
Oh, acha. And would you be able to identify the friend who was in Panch?
He passed away unfortunately, but he was the guy who was the cop, Suresh Singh.
Oh, okay. Okay,
uh,
okay.
the cop with the big voice in that film.
Yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, who was
Absolutely.
interrogating them basically.
Got it. Okay, okay.
So
Okay.
he was one of my acting teachers in that workshop.
Okay. Right.
Uh,
Right.
so he said, "Arey, I'll introduce you to Anurag." So he introduced me to Anurag, and the fact that he said, there's this model that wants to meet you. So Anurag said, "I'm not meeting any sort of model or anybody." And then I told him, "So why did you tell him?" Just tell him it. And then he arranged a meeting, and very strange thing, Anurag and me met for the first time at a fashion show in town. I don't remember the place.
Okay.
And we both sat next to each other for half an hour, not speaking.
Okay.
So I don't know if Anurag remembers that, but it was that. And then I think he was also very, right now he's very vocal, but
Right.
then he was not. Um, but we did meet then, and we sat next to each other. I wasn't doing the show. I was because I was just invited for it. Uh,
Acha.
and luckily I wasn't doing the show, otherwise he would have seen me in a different light again. But we sat and we just had a chat little bit, and we decided to meet. And when I met him, I narrated him the whole thing, what I had written, what the
Okay.
first thing of Gulal was. He really liked it, and that is when the conversation happened, which I told you about, where do we want to set it, etc., etc.
Got it.
So
Got it.
then we went to Rajasthan and stuff, and then he came back, and then then a new script was written accordingly.
Okay. So then you guys kind of collaborated on the script then, right? Like you and
Yeah,
Anurag
but
both.
I'll give a lot of credit to Anurag. I mean, I did the first, yeah, I mean, there was, yeah, I mean, the seed and the germ and like the first sort of a draft was from me. But I mean, Anurag made it what it was.
Got it. Got it. Now, obviously, no smoking came first, right? But you talked to him about Gulal first, is it?
Yeah, so Gulal happened even before I spoke to him, and we put together some money and we started the film. Like he knew, obviously he was doing Panch with KK, and Panch in the meantime got stuck. You know,
Right,
uh,
right, right.
so
Yeah, that
KK
was
was
all
on
what
board.
news back then, and it was his first three, four releases were not coming out because of all the issues he was having, right?
Yeah, yeah. So Panch was stuck with the censors. Um, we started work on Gulal, and in fact, we started. Our first office was from my house. Uh,
Okay,
so yeah, so no, the Gulal we started even much before Black Friday. Uh,
okay, okay,
so
okay,
it didn't happen then, and then Anurag started work on Black Friday, uh,
okay.
which was happening. So I acted in it, and I assisted him. I was one of the assistant directors.
Oh, okay.
So
Interesting.
that was actually good in the sense because uh, Black Friday was like my one-stop film school as an actor also and as what like technically also and
Yeah.
everything else. So that was one of the greatest experience I've had as far as films is related.
Yeah.
Black Friday,
Yeah.
and then after Black Friday, we again tried to make Gulal. Uh,
Okay.
we went and shot for 5 6 days, and again it stalled. Uh,
Okay.
and then it came back, and then Anurag did no smoking.
Okay. And then no smoking happened. And okay, so I'll get into no smoking now. The dream, man. Like, is it a dream? Is it real? What was the stories? Like, I know there are multiple interpretations that it's leaving to the audience, but would it be asking for a spoiler if I asked you these
See,
questions?
no smoking. No, actually, it's not as complex as everybody is making out it to be. Maybe it came across that way at the end of it, but it
Okay.
is a very simple thing. It's a very, very simple. And the more we discuss no more smoking, the more complex it gets. But a very simple underlying thing of no smoking was the fact that you
Hmm.
should do what you have to do without selling your soul. You know,
Okay.
like it's very simple. It's no like smoking is a vice. You take smoking as a vice, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you want to quit smoking, it is because you should want to quit smoking rather than somebody else telling you to quit smoking.
Got it. Got it.
And if you do it, if somebody else tells you, that means you're losing your soul in the bargain. Uh,
Right. Right. Right.
and it started out with a very simple sort of a way in which it was not about the Prayogshala earlier.
Okay.
It was about a very high technically very strong space where you're being monitored by satellites and etc etc technically, and
Oh,
every time
acha,
you
acha.
pick up a thing you're caught and there's a punishment to it and all of that. I think
Sure.
because of lack of budget, I don't know, I didn't get into so much into production aspect of it, but I think because of lack of budget, I think then it was an improvisation of the whole prayogshala aspect of it.
But that was quite genius, and I'll tell you because the whole concept of there being a world under our world, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that Prayogshala was brilliant. Like the
yeah,
way
yeah,
that they had shown John Abraham's character K going downstairs.
yeah,
Once
yeah,
he reaches the area, he's looking for the Prayogshala, and he keeps going down, and there's no end. It
exactly.
was I think that was like metaphorical for something maybe, or
For
was
hell,
it?
basically, you go into hell, no? You go
So
down,
there.
no? Into hell. It's like going into
Got it.
deeper.
Acha, acha, that's what it was. So there's always so much metaphorical meaning,
Yeah.
and I think that's where we, as audiences, tend to sort of get too consumed by it. But it really was like that. I think it really was a neo noir and this.
It was, and I think if it was not for the country and the audience, even the audience, that so-called audience who do have a sense of, uh, it didn't come through. I think that's all. They didn't get it. That's all. I don't know if it's right to say they didn't get it or it didn't come through. So there's
Yeah,
it's that.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
But it
No,
was,
but
I mean, I'm very proud of the fact that I was associated with it. I think
sure.
people look back and they do say that that time it did tank. I remember watching it in the theater, and there were these with the four, five of my friends, and there behind me there were these two, three guys sitting,
Yeah,
and after around 20, 25 minutes, they just went kept on saying, "What the fuck is this?" Sorry, can I use language here?
yeah. Go for it, man. It's all good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they were like, "What the fuck? I mean, क्या हो रहा है? क्या चल रहा है? What this?"
Correct, correct,
So they were
correct.
constantly complaining.
Acha. So
So
you didn't pull out a knife like Faisal Khan from Gangs of Wasipur and
no,
pull.
no, no, no. So more than me, the friends who were with me were more like getting embarrassed and edgy. Not for no, for the fact, it was just that I might react was that sort of a
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. You know what? I'll tell you. If I saw this, so I did not see this movie for some time. I must admit, at that time, when I did see it, I was like, "This is a gem of a movie. Like this is a cult classic now,
Yeah.
right? People do see it. Like when I go through YouTube comments on the movie and the amount of debate it has generated, like intellectually, it's a stimulating movie. It makes
It
you
is,
think.
it is, it is.
So that was quite cool. Like I feel proud as an Indian that we made a movie like this, or that we have a movie
Exactly.
from
Yeah, yeah.
it.
And likewise, I'm proud of the fact that, if I look back, I've not done much films, But
Yeah.
I've just done these. I mean, without the other ones, I've just did these four films of mine: Gulaal,
Yeah.
Black Friday, Antardwand, and No Smoking. I
Yeah.
think they just it's just great. Even if I quit and I have these four films to my name, it's still an achievement. I feel.
Sure. And it sticks out. I mean, if I may say so, Kuch Na Kaho does stick out as the, I wouldn't call it the odd one, but it obviously, when you're like someone from that space or a certain zone of filmmaking and of content where all your other films have garnered so much critical acclaim, Antardwand included. And, I just very recently saw the last chapter.
Okay.
Brilliant again, and we'll get into that as well. Gulaal, of course, and we just talked about no smoking. So just all round, I think brilliant work, because you would rather do good work, which isn't corrupted, than do bad work.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So that was the
Almost.
idea. Yeah. Yeah. And
So
a
sorry, go
couple
on.
of them are cult films. So I mean, so it's
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, man, absolutely.
even Black Friday is a cult film. I mean, at least three of them are cult films. So
Yeah, and again, I have the greatest things to say about Black Friday because I feel there hasn't been a movie before it and after it by anyone which is a documentary style film, which
yeah,
is, it's still dramatized a bit, but largely it is all facts, right?
it
It is
is.
cap.
And yeah, and this is you're talking, in front of the scene. I'm talking behind the scenes also. I've been part
Yeah.
of a lot of films, right?
Hmm.
Black Friday was, I think, the purest in terms of something that I've come close to. Uh,
Right.
in terms of,
Exactly.
like you said, the content. Uh,
Yeah.
and even the execution of it,
Yeah.
what we went through while executing that film
Yeah.
is, I mean, I'm sure other people have also gone through in the film, but it was something that was very, I don't know, I mean, if we were to look back at it and go to it again and try to do something like this, we wouldn't be able to do it because at that time we were not aware of what we were getting into, you know.
Right. Right.
It
Right.
was tough as hell. It was it was a tough shoot.
Hmm.
It was great, and just for the even the research aspect of it, the prep of it, you know,
Sure.
and it was so close. It was. I don't know if it just. It was like an. I could say that it was like a life-altering moment for me, at least. Uh,
Wow. Yeah. No, because that's what I was also going to come to is the colossal amount of research that it must have needed for all of these people to be traced, right? Like the perpetrators to be
yeah,
traced in the different parts of the country and for y'all to like set it up in so many stages, right? The
exactly.
movie has so many levels that starts off with a few people and then you start tracing it back to, when KK Menon's investigation starts right at the beginning and then you unfold the magnitude of the operation,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
which is
And I think Anurag was also at his purest then.
right, right, right. But I think given the times also maybe it was easier, like you said, right, to make a movie like that. So
Yes,
even
yes.
now, if people tried, you couldn't necessarily say so much, and that's another debate, I'm sure. But
Yeah,
would you
yeah. You
agree?
couldn't. Yeah, but there was something very, very pure and honest about that film. Uh,
Acha.
Even in the terms of what came on screen, and even in terms of like I'm talking really, the process of making that film. We were all into it in such a way, that it was like it was difficult in terms of even when we were traveling. There were seven of us in a room, and
Right.
from small things to that to shooting at three different locations in Bombay in a day.
Wow.
Shooting at Andheri in the morning, mid Mumbai in the afternoon and evening in town side.
Sure,
So
sure.
and it was difficult. It was difficult. I mean,
And he introduced, and I'm sure you must have also been a big part of that style of guerrilla filmmaking that he talks
yeah,
about. So you
yeah,
must have
yeah.
also helped him out a lot on that stuff, right?
Yeah, I remember, there was when I was on one of my shots when I don't know if you remember, there's a jam on Marine Drive, and the blasted stock exchange that happened. And I'm on a scooter with another guy in
Oh,
his
right, right,
scooter.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That sort of a thing. वो बोलते क्या I tell him that अभी time नहीं है जल्दी कर. People ask what is happening.
Right,
I mean,
right.
we created a jam on Marine Drive. That whole shot was we created a jam. It
Real time. You guys just created a jam.
created. We just blocked the traffic and just like parked, like just kept the car like that, two cars like that. So automatically there was a traffic jam in 30 seconds. Uh, the camera, Anurag, like you said, Gurila had hidden it somewhere in one of the buildings. We got the message on the phone, okay, action. We went, finished the shot, and just went our ways. It took us a minute. That's it.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
it was great. Yeah. Even that also. Then when we shot Gulal, finally, that same thing. That last shot of mine where I'm walking through the roads, being
Yeah.
shot. All that
Yeah.
was very guerrilla. All that was very sort of. And that Black Friday helped me on that. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. 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 Right. Right. Cool. So we'll now go to Gulal. Okay. And the idea for the script, you've obviously talked about the ragging experiences you had and what you saw around you growing up in college, right? And you obviously were the main lead in that.
Yeah.
So you could carry all of your scars from those memories and the times that you had into your performance. Is it true that, so what was your preparation like? What was your acting preparation like?
Um. So, like I said, Black Friday. When I told you before that I realized that I thought that I'm not a good actor. Uh,
Right.
but it was more so because of the tone of the films that were happening at that point in time. You know,
Sure. Sure.
when I got into Black Friday and when I started acting in Black Friday, and when for the first time, obviously, Anurag was directing me, and I realized, this is my space.
Sure. Sure.
It's just being there, being real, you know,
Right. Yeah.
not trying to act, you know.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
and so Gulal again was easy for me because I was so instrumental. I mean, the whole obviously the scripting stage, and I've been living with the film in terms of writing, in terms of trying to get it made, in terms of start and stops, in terms of so the whole. Uh, it just seeped into me the whole sort of a character,
Right.
that
Right.
the only thing that Anurag told me was just be real, just be
Right.
true to the space and just be real. And that was what I did. I mean, I won't say it was a cakewalk, but it was just the fact that just being there helped, right? When you write
Yeah.
something, it's not just what is there on paper, it's what is behind all of that is you live with that. You know that, you know.
Right.
You worked on the backgrounds, you worked on the characters, you worked on those things. So you already know all of that.
Got it. Got it. It's very interesting because you have not, I mean, you've done workshops, you've done theater, so thankfully you got, a lot of your acting chops or you honed your skill from there. You, in such a short time, to think up a story like this must have been quite crazy for people to understand.
It's just something, I don't know if it's destiny or something that is ingrained in me. I always thought of, in fact, like, in Black Friday, there was a scene that it's not there in the film anymore. We were doing a scene, and it was about KK and his team interrogating me, and that red room, if you remember.
Yes, yes,
Me and
absolutely.
one of these guys, and the scene was basically very simply that we've been beaten up being interrogated. I mean, trying, and we are not speaking up. And the guy next to me says, "Okay, मैं बताता हूँ," after getting a thrashing.
Sure,
And
sure.
the KK tells the cops to take me away so that they could interrogate that guy now because he's
Got it.
cracked. Yeah.
Hmm.
So that was the scene, and that was cut at that. But I don't know what happened then. While acting that out, when KK says, take him away, and they want to
Hmm.
interrogate the other guy, the cops were taking me away, and something came within me. I don't know, and I just went and started thrashing the other guy myself.
Wow.
It was just it, and I didn't plan for it. I didn't. So what I'm trying to tell you is that basically, if it is inside you, organically, instinctively, and if you think, I always thought as a writer, I always thought as a script writer or a story writer, whatever,
Right,
you
right,
think beyond what is in the script. Uh,
right.
and then Anurag was really happy with that. But ultimately, it didn't become part of the film. But I'm just telling you, what I'm
Got
trying
it.
to tell you is this is because a lot of improvisations happen because if you're involved intrinsically with scripts,
Got it.
not just
Yeah.
as an actor coming on board and taking a script and working on that, the whole writing process. So I think that was a good. I've been right from the beginning. It's been part of my DNA.
Yeah. Would you agree that it's something that you're gifted or born with, or is it something that can be taught? And I don't mean maybe the concept of coming up with a script, but acting, for instance.
No, it's not something you're born with. I think acting needs a certain level of intelligence, I feel.
Okay.
and both intelligence and emotional intelligence. You
Right.
know, if you're emotionally aware, if you're and you have empathy and you have a sense of sensitivity to your surroundings and people, you know,
Right.
I think it then obviously it's just about uh, putting that together in a right structure, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
it's just that. And I think all of us must we have our imaginations. In fact, the film that I'm doing now, the one I'm directing, was something that actually got ingrained in me in my this.
So then we've talked about the preparation also, right? Is it
Yeah.
true that, and I don't mean to meander too much into Anurag Kashyap's style of filmmaking, but because you've collaborated with him a bit, that he is renowned to not give dialogues. How is that? Like, I've tried doing some work myself in acting at a very amateur level. I cannot imagine how one doesn't
No,
have
no, no.
dialogue.
See, whatever I have worked with him, there have always been dialogues, you know.
Okay.
And Anurag is one of the best. In fact, I think the best dialogue writer in the country, you know, at
Okay.
least in Hindi cinema. He doesn't do that anymore, but I mean, if he writes dialogues, he's one of the best, right? So
Right.
he writes great dialogues, but he gives you that room for improvisation. He's not stuck up on the fact कि मैंने ये लिखे हैं तो इसके ऐसे ही बोलो. You know,
Acha. Acha.
he
Acha.
tells you to take it and make it your own. And if you have the sense and if you have the intelligence and if you have the script sense, you know, to not hello and go overboard, you know, but
Mm-hmm.
within that space, improvise in such a way that it just adds to the whole thing, he's very happy with it. But he's also that if somebody he sees somebody going overboard or not right in the improvisations, he tells them, okay, you know, it's not working.
Acha. Acha. Acha.
Yeah.
Acha.
But he
Acha.
lets them do it, he lets you do it in your way.
Acha. Okay. Now, from a referential point of view, there was a lot of connotations to what Bana's character or Piyush Mishra's character is doing and his being there, right?
Yeah.
So he's someone who's being shown as specially abled, right?
Uh, yeah.
उनके जो sidekick है played by Teddy Morea,
Uh-huh.
what does his character signify in the movie? Why is he
So
there?
this is one question that I've been asked all across, even when we go for these sometimes to colleges and all for the film appreciation stuff. Uh, Actually, that character came about. You'll find it funny, but it came about because we didn't get the location.
Okay.
So we had earlier, like I said, there were three start stops to Gulal. So the second time when we had figured out a location for Dukey's house,
Okay.
which the way to it, there was a Samshan Ghat.
अच्छा.
And Teddy was, there was a character in the Samshan Ghat, you know, the guy who's there, always there, जो लकड़ी लाता है, जो जलाता, you know, the guy who manages the.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
So there was something that nice about that character at that point. And now you always passing that on the way to Dukey's house, you know. Now we
अच्छा.
didn't get that location. So and location changed and everything, you know. So location changed and everything. And Teddy had nothing to do.
अच्छा.
And Teddy is also, if you know, Teddy is also the production designer for Imtiaz's films and all. He's also an
Yeah.
art director. Art director. So Teddy told Anurag, "तू क्या करेगा? तेरा तो कुछ है नहीं." So
हाँ.
Teddy said, and we were already on location. So
हाँ,
Teddy
हाँ.
said, "Give me half an hour."
अच्छा.
So he went, he painted himself, and he came back looking like that.
Wow. That's a
And he said,
genius.
"अभी जो करना है करो मेरे साथ."
But
So
amazing, no?
that is how he became Piyush Bhai's sidekick in the film.
अच्छा. अच्छा. What brilliant of him to have come up with that.
Yeah, yeah. So like I said, Gulal was also, I mean, contribution to a lot from a lot of people, you know, and that, which is a good thing about Anurag, he allows that, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair enough. Now, Bana's character again, was this modeled on someone in particular, or was this the genius of your writing or Anurag's writing that you all came up with this character as being the way he was?
Yeah, yeah. It is. So it also, as much as what we had written, it is
Yeah.
also a lot to again do with Piyush Bhai,
Okay.
because he, you know, he was doing the music and the lyrics was his, right, for
Sure.
Gulal, and he modeled this character on that. He created that character actually. We
Okay.
did have a character who was, slightly, what do you call it?
Actually able to. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But whatever came on top of that was added by Piyush Bhai.
Wow. Yeah. I've never seen a character like that in Hindi cinema before or after it again. And he got so much angst in him. And he also raps in a way when he's angry, which is
Yeah,
just
yeah. So it was
brilliant.
a great, yeah, it was a great take on, and he is still in the film, and he was supposed to be insane, so to speak, but the
Yeah.
only sane voice, you know, in that
Sure.
world, he was making the right noises, he was saying the right things, you know,
Right, right, right.
but everybody considered it so, and that's also a take on the world, right? Yeah, like
अच्छा
that's why the whole John Lennon thing.
अच्छा तो दुनिया उसको पागल बोलती है जो सच बोलता है
हाँ,
बेसिकली.
करेक्ट, वही ना, वो हकीकत तो वही बता रहे हैं ना आपको कि ये he says it also ना. I mean that whole
हम्म.
rap of sale है, you know.
करेक्ट.
Before that, that अंग्रेजों की मिल में, that whole thing
हाँ
that he
हाँ
does.
हाँ करेक्ट करेक्ट
So that
हाँ.
those are all Piyush Bhai's creations, but he used his character in that way,
अच्छा.
that John Lennon, uh,
गॉट.
uh, and he says basically जिनके चश्मे गोल थे उनके उनके सारे वो फंडे भी गोल होते हैं.
अंडे भी
So
गोल है. Correct.
so like it was a coming together of Gulaal happened because of a coming together of a lot of great people and a lot of great ideas, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And I mean, I consider Piyush Mishra a genius, eccentric,
yeah.
yes, but a genius, definitely.
Absolutely, absolutely. He is phenomenal.
And he
And
added a lot to Gulal. He added a lot to it.
yeah, I mean, even the music is so legendary, right?
Yeah, music. Yeah. I mean, I have not seen somebody write lyrics like that, even for Black Friday or even for Gangs when he wrote that first song.
Yeah. So, just diving in a bit to writing, because is it that you like to be identified first as an actor or a director or a writer? Which is it?
I uh, I just like to be identified as a film person.
Okay.
I like to involve myself in all aspects of filmmaking because
Okay.
I have a lot to say. Uh, there's a lot of angst inside me, and I see the world in ways emotionally, if you say,
Yeah.
and I have my reactions to the world emotionally, whether it's anger, whether it's sadness, whether it's happiness, or whatever. I react, and I feel for me, if I want to say something, I don't want to be this guy sitting on Twitter and writing. I don't want to be somebody. I do things in my own small way,
Yeah.
whatever I have to do. But I
Yeah.
think I have this platform, and I hope I get to a place where I have a larger voice
Yeah.
to say a lot of things through my film, you
Yeah.
know. And so, in that aspect, whether as an actor, whether as a writer, whether as a director, whether as a producer, I just want to do that. So I feel I consider myself a film person and involve myself in all aspects, that way.
Got it. Got it. ओके. ऑलराइट. सो राइटिंग में आपको जब आप राइटिंग प्रोसेस करते हो आपको कोई प्रोसेस है लिखने का या कैसे होता है? इज इट जस्ट समथिंग दैट हैपेंस ऑन द स्पर ऑफ द मोमेंट एंड यू राइट आउट द होल थिंग और डू यू फेज इट आउट और डू यू बिकॉज यू हैव एन इंजीनियरिंग बैकग्राउंड आर यू मोर ऑर्गेनाइज्ड अबाउट योर कैसा है सिस्टम आपका राइटिंग का?
It's more it's more. I don't have a structure to it. I don't have an organized way of it. It just there's sometimes there are things that float. Like I said, if you're thinking a lot, if you're imagining a lot, if you're reacting a lot to what's happening around you,
या
if you're sensitive to that, a
या
lot of thoughts creep up into your head. Uh,
या
uh, and slowly it starts off with a small thing, and you get the formation of a story happening. You know,
अच्छा.
you have this story that keeps building up inside you. And the first film that I directed, not the last chapter, that was a short. I just directed a feature film. It was so something that I had always was inside me of something that I'd seen in life personally, but
ओके.
I used that to come up with a script. And the process of writing a script is that you start writing definitely from the first scene, how you see opening of the film
या.
and etc. But sometimes, it just certain scenes come to mind, certain
ओके.
moments come to mind. I put that all down, you know,
ओके.
and
ओके.
and when I'm writing and in this process, I if I see that fitting in perfectly at one place, I fit it in, you know. So it's a very scattered process actually until
ओके.
you have a sort of semblance of a first draft, and then it
या.
becomes a structure. Till then, it's very scattered. It's very scattered.
Okay, okay. And do you have any tips for budding writers or amateur writers? What should they be doing?
I think I personally feel writing is all about being sensitive to what is
Acha.
happening around you. And
Mm-hmm.
if you have that sensitivity, and if you have a sort of something very, true about you, at least to yourself, if not to the world, you know,
Yeah.
if you and you're able to absorb things around you, I think that
Yeah.
is the first step. The second is, I think, for amateur writers is basically just write without having fear of being judged.
Okay. Is there a temptation now, though you've done quite a few projects and stuff? Is there a temptation to sound, because it happens with it, that you want to sound more intellectual, you want to sound you want to impress people with your sophistication in thinking. So, but you may meander off into another zone in your script, maybe intellectualize your content. You may wander off. Does that tend to happen to you or not?
No, I'm not someone who wants to have these great shots, and when you're talking intellectualization, it's also about the writing, it's also about how you make the film, execute it. For me, someone, if I see myself, it's someone like Clint Eastwood. Uh, if you see the films that he's made, I'm talking as a director. There's a certain simplicity about them,
Hmm.
but what he's saying with that, it's that is very key. You know,
Sure.
and I don't see any intellectualization of his scripts. So I'm just saying, yes, obviously there is a way technique of cinema, and you want to, have that. But I think personally, I like to keep it very simple.
Acha.
I want to tell a story. I want to tell a story in the right way.
Okay.
I want to be true, and obviously, yes, cinema has to have its aspects. But I think for me, the simpler the better.
Okay. Got it.
Because for me, you should get it. For me, an intellectual should get it, and for me, that person sitting uh, at a small town India should get it.
Perfect. Makes sense. So what happened after Gulal?
I did Gulal, and then they were while Gulal during post production of Gulal, I signed two more films. One of which was Antardwand, uh, and there was another film called Meridian Lines, which had a great cast,
Okay.
but unfortunately, and got made, and everything didn't release. It had a cast of Irfan Khan, Nawaz, uh,
Wow.
Konkana, Soha Ali Khan, myself, Piyush Mishra, Arjun Rampal, um,
Okay.
Abhay Deol, Raima Sen.
Wow.
It was like four stories coming together. Director from the UK. That got made. Nice film. It didn't release for some reason. So I did films.
Mhm.
I got did some great films in good films in terms of the content and directors. But
Okay.
unfortunately, three or four of them didn't release at that point in time.
Okay.
And a couple released. The Waiting Room released. It was an average film though. Um,
Okay. Okay.
and a lot what happened after Gulal was also the fact that I started receiving a lot of offers to play the same type of character.
Okay. Which is typically the case. Is it, would you say it's still the case in Bollywood, or has it changed?
It is the case, but it has also changed with a lot of these actors coming in and showing how versatile an actor can be.
Yeah.
I think primarily a lot of credit to Irfan for that. Uh,
Yeah.
Irfan, KK, and all these guys.
Yeah.
So yeah, people are looking at it, but still there's a very myopic vision to this.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Which is always been discussed, right? Our dearth of films that are content or substance based, and we talk about it. And there are those Masans and Bheja Fries and Wiki Donors that are getting made, and the Black Fridays and the
Exactly.
Gulaal.
There has been like a smattering of these films over the years.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
But now the content is the new thing is that I call it the Ayushman films. Uh,
Yeah.
they
You brought that
That's a
up.
template that is good actually.
Yeah.
And it has been brought in by actually I think the first guy who brought in it was Rajkumar Hirani and
Okay.
yeah, Rajkumar Hirani and Anurag Basu. I like Anurag Basu's films. They have a
Yeah.
certain balance.
Yeah.
So
And do you think there is a space for movies that maybe, like No Smoking Today, for instance, or a Black Friday or a Gulal today, do you think that things have changed a bit, or now it's like that combination that we just talked about, that Raju Hirani
No,
and
a Black Friday and a Gulal, there's a space for that today. No smoking, I don't think so.
okay, okay,
Still, I don't think so. No
um,
smoking would
mm,
still, it would still not work at the box office, I think.
okay. So then, is there so after you did all these films, there was a time where you maybe had a gap. Would that be accurate to say? You
Yeah,
had a
yeah,
gap.
yeah.
Okay. And what were you doing in this time? Were you working on some things that didn't work out, or was other things that you'd left the movies for a bit, or what was it?
No, I actually was, you know, supposed to direct a film sometime back.
Okay.
So the history repeated itself right the way with Gulal. It took some time. Uh,
Okay.
and coincidentally, Anurag was producing that film earlier. Uh,
Okay.
but again, didn't happen. Didn't. So that took time actually. That took another two. I was concentrating on that. That took like 2 to 3 years on that because
Okay.
I quit acting just to be able to do that. And that was the time when the OTTs hadn't broken through, you know.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So it was only, and then, so I rather focused on directing. It didn't happen, and then I put together two great, actually three great projects as a producer, and they're all on their way to getting made now. With
Okay.
so with Lara Datta, so we got together to
Okay.
start producing stuff. Uh,
Nice. Nice.
so we put that the last 2 3 years, we've just gotten some great rights and we've put together the content and all of that. So now they just this year onwards they'll start, taking shape.
Yeah.
So I was just accumulating all this stuff in the meantime,
Got it.
and in the
So you,
interim I directed my first feature also. So
okay, which was
which is something we went post now.
okay.
It's again got a smattering of good actors like Kirti Kulari, K.K. Menon, and I've got
Oh,
it's about an indie band. So I've cast I picked up people from bands for that, uh,
oh, awesome, awesome.
and I've trained them to act. And I mean, they were naturally, the fact that you get a natural vibe and body language and personality. Very few
Sure.
actors can get that on stage or in life. So I wanted to cast people like that. Uh,
Yeah. Do you approach casting directors, or do you cast people yourself?
the film the feature that I did, I cast myself
Okay. Okay.
because a huge experience. Again, I was involved in the casting process for Black Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah, so and that is what again a lot of learning comes from Black Friday. Uh,
Okay.
so
Okay.
I did cast for the film myself. Yeah, I did the tests myself. I did all of that.
Wow. That's interesting. I had no clue about that. That's very interesting. Okay. And so then, Antardwand was also a career defining or changing experience for you. I think that with winning the Best Film National Award was
National
huge.
award, yeah. It not a career defining or career changing, but it was more of a very it was another, what do you call it, feather in my cap, so to speak. Uh,
Okay.
yeah, so
But it must have got you accolades at the time, right?
it did, yeah. I mean, Gulal Antardwand did put me in a position where people did started accepting me as a good actor. Uh,
Okay.
and yes, yeah, that is how, yeah. I mean, Gulal actually now has become actually not then it did obviously did create a sensation, but now it's become more of a cult, and it's still a lot resonates because of Gulal still now, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Got it. And so then you finally came back on in front of the camera, with Plus Minus, right?
That's a short, yeah. I just did a like a sort of a
Yeah.
small cameo from a friend, yeah, yeah.
Sure. And then you wrote the last chapter.
I directed it also, yeah,
Oh, you directed it as well. That's
yeah,
great.
yeah.
Awesome. So then how did that idea germinate in your mind of making something like this?
It was something that, again, it comes from a personal, not my personal space, somebody that I know, and
Okay.
there was this thing of this girl always wanting revenge,
Okay.
and she didn't know how to do it. you know.
Okay.
It was not a father, it was somebody else. But that
Okay.
revenge, so it was just again, like I said, start thinking, start imagining, start stuff coming to your head. So it was just about this daughter taking revenge on her father, who doesn't know that she has a daughter, and
Okay.
because of the father, this whole life that she's been put through, and she's a prostitute, and she's become a prostitute and an escort, and she feels the best revenge on the father is not killing him or making him miserable. It's just basically sleeping with him and telling him that you slept with your daughter. Yeah. And I
Um,
treated it in a way, like I told you, very simply. I didn't want to get too much into. A lot of people thought it's very verbose, but it was meant to be verbose. It was meant to be it was treated in the way I wanted it to be treated, that way only. You know,
okay.
I
Okay.
could have some great, like, camera techniques, and I could have some great lighting stuff, and I could
Yeah.
make it very noir or something like that. I didn't want
Yeah.
to do that. I just want to put it very simply out there.
Sure. And I can see now that you explained it the way you did that it would have taken away from the essential content or the substance of the story, right? It is
Exactly,
just
exactly.
driving home the point that this has happened. So, are there any other projects that you want to talk about before we wrap up? Anything that
So
anyone
as an
can talk?
actor, I'm not doing anything at the moment, though I get some stuff coming in. But I would explore that at some point in time. But right now, I'm more focused on producing these projects. Uh,
Okay.
and uh, I just finished directing my first. And I'm doing another film, which is, I can't speak about the cast or anything right now, but what I can tell you is the fact that it stemmed from the fact, like I told you, I love these Western films.
Yeah.
I loved Clint Eastwood, and I used to go to Rajasthan and imagine as a child some, like, I that part of Rajasthan is more mountains and stuff where I
Right.
belong
Right.
to. It's just some cowboy coming in, because the landscape is very similar to the Wild West.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I'm doing a Western set in India, basically.
Wow. So something, and I'm not necessarily drawing direct comparison. It could be similar to maybe a Lal Kaptan in
No,
that
no.
sense.
It's not similar to Lal Kaptan at all. It's
Okay.
very thoroughbred Western, because, but no, without the cowboys, because but that part of Rajasthan, and that is it was very, very similar. The people, the
Okay.
the terrain, the thing.
Okay.
So it's a straight up Western, but very
Okay. That's
organically
very.
fitting into it, not force fit. Uh,
What time is it set in?
it is set in the
Like what
80s,
time? 80s. Okay.
early 80s, yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, do you have any words of advice to budding actors or filmmakers or writers or anyone who wants to join the industry? What should one expect? Because when you think about Mumbai and you think about the numbers of people trying to break in, it obviously can get intimidating. So, how does one negotiate that aspect of
See,
getting into
when
film?
I came in, things were different. Now, the good thing about now is that there are lots and lots more opportunities in
Okay.
like, for me, when I came in, as an actor, I definitely did not want to do television. Not for the fact that I looked down on television. I never, uh, you know, uh, related to what was shown on television. I could never act like that. I could never be part of stories like that, you know.
Fair enough.
Uh,
Yeah.
but now, the thing is that there are these OTT platforms that are there, and they are coming out with decent content right now.
Right.
So for actors,
Right.
there are great opportunities across the board. Uh, and television is a great medium because it gives a lot of work to a lot of people, and it saved a lot of lives at that point in time, and still
Right.
continues doing so. So there's a whole ecosystem of television that is great, you know. Now
Okay.
the whole ecosystem of OTTs is being formed, which is great. So
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
plenty of work, but the thing is, it is still a lot of struggle and a lot of hard work and a lot of, on a technical side, there are more opportunities, but to
Okay.
get to directing something like this film that I just finished right now, you know,
Yeah.
uh, it just to get to make a film and someone putting in money and stuff, it's very difficult. And
Right.
the only thing is that you have to be at it. You have to be at it. You have to keep working, you know.
Yeah.
And for me, if I had come and I said that, okay, I'm an actor and I just want to act, I think Gulal would not have happened. You know, if I
Oh,
hadn't
really?
taken the initiative of writing something and going to Anurag with it and saying that, because Anurag took me seriously because I wrote something, which made sense.
Okay. Yeah.
So I think you need to constantly develop, and even if you're not great at it, constantly work at skills, not just your primary skill of being an actor, or you should write, you should act, you should assist somebody, you should be part of production. Anything that you do within the ecosystem of making a film or any other product is going to help you. The idea is to constantly keep working.
Right. Right.
There are two
And just
aspects to it. One, money keeps coming in, and two, you
yeah.
keep learning, and you are part of and meeting a lot of people along the way.
Got it. But would you think that it's possible for people to do a juggling act between working part time or full time and then doing this? Or would you advise that they only did this full time, like get into films full time and not do anything else?
You're talking about films and OTTs, or you're talking about different aspects of filming?
Yeah, maybe like if there was someone who was interested in filmmaking, like as in the capacity of a director or a writer or any technician, then do you think that they should go into it all out, or they should be able to consider doing a juggling act maybe?
See, the thing, the advantage of if you wanting to be a director, the advantage is that the process is very clear. See, if I want to be an actor, right, either I
Yeah,
get the job or I don't get the job, right?
right.
If I want to be a director, I start off with being an assistant director. That means I still have a job. You know,
Right,
I
right.
can make my way up. I don't know if that makes sense. We are still constantly working until the time
Yeah,
you get to make your film. So you are in that process of being a director. But if
yeah.
you are an actor, there's no process. Either you get the job or you don't get the job. It's as simple as that. You cannot be an
Mm.
assistant actor. You know what I'm saying?
Fair enough. Yeah, I
Yeah,
see what
so
you.
the acting is the tougher aspect of things. Everything is tough, but as a director, the advantage is that you can be part of a film unit, keep work as an assistant, work as this, and
Yeah.
keep working your way up to that. You know. But the
Right,
thing is,
right.
you're constantly working. As an actor, I always advise actors ki if you are not getting a job, at least start working as an assistant director or start doing something which is part of the system.
Yeah, yeah.
It
Just
helps
keep
you.
finding yourself and finding something that you may be able to do in addition to acting, because it'll all add to your skill set at the end of the day, and you are
Exactly.
still
Being
close
an
to.
assistant on Black Friday made me a better actor. It's as simple as that. Which helped me in Gulal,
Yeah, yeah.
and on Black Friday. It's that.
Right.
And
Awesome.
and and the most important thing is find your space. You know,
Right, right.
if you're working, when I mean by space is find the sur that you want to work in, whether as an actor or whether as a director or whatever. You have to find that what you belong to. They're different. If you are on the wrong space, then you will end up coming across very badly.
Right, right, right. No, you're right, because you need to sort of create your own legacy, your own body of work, and it should then it'll attract certain kinds of filmmakers and people who want to collaborate with you. Otherwise, if you're sort of haphazard, then it's hit and miss, I would imagine.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Well, I don't have anything else. Thank you so much for your time, Raj. Do you have anything else you want to comment on, or any messages, any plugins you want to do for any movies or projects before we?
Not yet. I think once this film is ready, the one I just finished,
Yeah.
um, I think then I can speak about that. Then so it's like I was on the verge of finishing the post before the lockdown happened. Uh,
Oh no. Okay.
but still, it's a so what I was trying what I was trying to tell you is that it stems from a very personal aspect of my life that I have seen very closely, and I
Yeah.
have to try to put it out in a way that it is satirical, but it also conveys something very strong. And that is what I've tried to do with at least whatever films I've been a part of, you know.
Got it. Got it.
So that's that.
Nice.
We'll see what happens.
It'll all work out, man.
Thanks, man.
Genius minds figure out ways for themselves. So thank you again so much for your time. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Likewise, Vasant. Thank you. All
Thank
right,
you.
take care. Bye bye.